Hey, everybody. Welcome to Crossing Line with me, Greg Heym, and the Ray clap that we live for. I appreciate that. You know, it's a Monday.
We're back.
Jets and Giants lost.
Shocker.
We'll get into that later. But joined today by Lone Daddy himself, Scott Nadler, who got his hair cut. Looks very good.
Thank you.
Did you get new shoes and slacks, too, for
No.
school?
Old shoes, old slacks, brand new haircut.
Well, that's cool.
Thank you for noticing, though.
Hey, I'm watching everything. Gregory, it means watchman, so I have to watch everything.
Does it really?
Yes.
I
looked it up.
In what language?
I don't know. You just go meaning of Gregory, it's watchman.
Oh, okay.
My mother said she named me after Gregory the Great. And it's funny, we were driving in Buffalo and there was like a church of Gregory the Great. I'm like, wow, that actually was a person.
Gregory, yeah.
The great what?
Doesn't matter. It's great. Everything is great.
Isn't that the question?
Why limit yourself when you can be great at everything? I mean, come on.
There you go.
My mother wanted us to have longer first names since Heym is such a short last name. So. Anyhow,
She succeeded.
Speaking of short, we have Lisa Reka Strickno here.
Yeah, segues right in. See, we were talking about,
See, right now, Lucy's writing the hate email.
That's
Don't call
right.
my little Lisa short.
My little Lisa.
yes, her baby.
For those who don't know, she is the Senior Vice President of Research and has had the fortune of working near me, with me, for me for over 2 decades.
Yeah.
Nadler's like, I can't wait till I can say that I've worked with Greg for 2 decades.
Counting down the days.
Hopefully then you still won't have that head of hair.
We have the club meetings every second Friday,
I'm
so
sure.
we'll let you know.
Now,
I'm sure Lisa's got a lot of stories.
Oh yeah.
a few. Some of them,
I might have one or two good ones in there.
So I got to give credit to Lisa and her family. They came to the gig Friday night. We had
Yes, we
Castrignos
did.
all over the place.
Yes, you did.
Our uncle got up, sang a couple numbers.
Yeah, he did great.
It was good. We played your parents' wedding song.
You did, because my parents' anniversary was yesterday, so 57 years.
Wow.
And they said it wouldn't last.
I know, right?
So that wasn't, I didn't drag the rest of your family to Saturday night's gig, but Lisa came to
Just
that
me.
too. At the Haber Barn, we had a show that lasted
Oh, it
a
was
very long
great.
time. It was very tiring. But,
No, but it was a lot of fun. It was definitely a lot of fun.
and I had my white zombie guitar, my Kurt Hammock model.
Yeah, you stole from your son.
I didn't steal it. He's got my guitar up at school, so it's
So it's a
unfair.
trade-
Wait,
off, so
is
it's
this
even?
part of the contract that you need to see Greg perform several times a year? Is that,
Yes.
Yes.
Is that all
Her
part of it?
bonuses are based
yes.
on how many.
If I don't show up for certain gigs, and like I have, it's like an obligation. So
Yep.
I've got like a checklist.
Got it.
So every month, it's like, oh, okay, I've performed my proper duties. I know I'll get paid.
I have a phone
I'll
on
get
my
a bonus.
desk. It says, in case you need people to come to your gig, break glass. And it's a hotline. And the Chignos just come out.
Right, and then the Chignos come out of the woodwork, and we're like 8 of us, because even my nephew
It was a nice
came.
crowd. We had a stranger, a guy we didn't know, come sing a couple numbers. That was pretty good.
That's right. Yeah, we were talking
So
about
that
that.
was-
I didn't realize you didn't know that couple.
No, but you come, you eat, you drink, you sing.
You sing.
It works that way.
He was good.
Yeah, we did a good, fun version of Happy Together. Oh,
I like that song.
And what's her
yeah.
name just died a couple weeks ago? Flo. Remember, Turtles was Flo and Eddie. Maybe it was a couple
no,
months
I don't
ago
think
by now. But he's passed away recently.
No.
And he sang a Beatles song, I Will,
Yes.
which was good. So that was nice. Thanks, Tom. That was his name. I remember his name. Hopefully we'll see him in the next game. All right, so Giants, go ahead. Have at it.
That was not fun. That was not
Well,
a
it must
fun
have been
game.
fun up until the missed extra point.
The only thing I'll say, look, it's a young team, rookie quarterback, rookie running back.
Is this his a rookie, but his first year with the Giants?
Yeah.
That's what makes him a rookie.
Yeah, it's his first year, first time. So look,
No, but people can be like, some people consider rookie a couple of years. Like
No, they don't.
Rookie
he's a rookie.
Contract.
He's a rookie.
okay, then I guess maybe that's where
I'll say,
conflating
look,
stuff.
I think in life and in sports, sometimes you learn a lot more from your failures and your losses than you do from your wins. And I think this is kind of one of those moments where the Giants weren't going to win the Super Bowl anyway. They probably weren't going to go to the playoffs. This is one of those games where your quarterback has a lot of confidence. Your team has confidence. You played a good team
You put
Oh,
on
up
the
that
road.
many points, you got to
who
win.
were they playing? Because I actually
played
missed
Denver.
it. Okay.
In Denver, the high altitude, it's a hard place to play. This could be one of those games. Now, maybe I'm being very, very optimistic, but this could be one of those games where you look back at in a year or 2 years and say that was the game that turned them around, that made, because they can go one of two ways. This is a quarterback that can fall back a little bit and kind of snowball into
Sophomore
having
jinx kind of thing.
Yeah.
or it could be one of those games, that seminal game that transforms his team.
Because he wasn't really expected to be starting this soon.
No.
No,
He wasn't. He also got hurt. He tweaked his ankle a little bit, but
Yeah, well, that's why I'm saying I'm getting confused when I'm saying the rookie, because it was somebody else who started the year, correct?
Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson.
Okay,
Not a rookie. The
that's
opposite
why
of
I'm
a
sorry.
rookie.
That's why I'm getting confused when I'm saying rookie. I'm meaning that because he wasn't the guy who started, and I didn't remember.
All right,
that
now
it
you're
was,
confusing the audience a little
I'm not.
bit.
I watched the Jets.
No,
Listen,
that's-
it was such an
Talk about somebody who
exciting.
doesn't learn from failure. That's a joke.
And a
It was
Mets fan.
it was definitely it was a very exciting, entertaining game.
And that's all the good
just-
ones.
They've got a couple really good. The
We also
Dallas
missed
game,
we missed 2 extra points.
The Dallas game was really exciting. You've beaten the Chargers and the Eagles. The Eagles game is really exciting.
Very
to watch.
exciting. Very
So
exciting.
yeah, at least you got something you're hopeful for.
Yeah.
Now contrast that to the Jets.
Let's talk about it.
No quarterback, terrible coach.
Oh, it was abysmal.
Even our-
And they were favorites.
Even a one and a half
how?
point favorite because they're home. That's why they're favorites. And
Then they clearly need to
all
play
of our
the rest
star
of the
players
season at home for some shot.
are
at winning.
all injured. So it doesn't matter now. Everybody's hurt. Garrett Wilson is hurt. Sauce dinged up. Quincy Williams hasn't been playing. I think we need to have someone go look for Quentin Williams because I don't see him anywhere in the field. Thankfully, though, I had a fundraiser to go to yesterday, so I only watched the first quarter.
So you didn't have to watch the whole thing.
And by the way, a shout out to one of my musical partners in crime, Nikki LaPiccolo, for having a great event yesterday. She lost her sister 5 years ago and has these fundraisers every year to endow a scholarship at her sister's alma mater, CW Post,
Very
in music.
nice.
It was a great evening. Nikki sang her butt off, great musicians, and then a lot of current and former Post music students got up there and sang.
Oh, nice.
It was very enjoyable.
That's
And
nice.
it was good because I wasn't checking the Jet score because I didn't care because the music was fantastic. So congratulations, Nikki. I know it's not an easy night to get through, but she did it great. And to Rose, her mom, it was a really special event. And thanks for making all of us a part of it. We were all privileged to be there. I only wish I could have seen them. They had a video of them singing together. And, they always say it's the DNA. That's what made the Everly Brothers and the Beach Boys so great when your brothers or cousins.
Right.
To hear them, it sounded like one voice.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And it was magnificent. And just a lot of fun. And we're in
That's great.
in the house where Marjorie Post lived.
Yeah, well, that was all her property.
Yeah, and it needed some renovations on the outside. I got to say, it was nice on the inside, but being somebody who just did their windows and sidings, I look at houses differently now. I'm like, mine's neater. All right, so that was our weekend. But you also had a trip.
I did.
Yeah, nice.
I was away, and now I'm
birthday
back.
with the folks. All right, that's
Both my parents have their birthdays are October 11th and 17th. So every year we do a joint thing together, and this year we took them away.
Nice.
Big birthdays for each of them, and it was great.
Well, happy
Dominican
birthday.
Republic.
Yeah, very nice. A happy birthday for them.
yeah.
And it's a great month, clearly.
Another Libra over here.
Yes.
Now, do they get Lone Daddy and Lone Daddy Mommy hats
My mom wears this hat everywhere.
with pride?
Does she really?
She does, and it's funny. I met someone who has a family member who's French, and her name is Loan, Loan.
Oh, how
So they
funny.
said we want to give this to her boyfriend. It'd be a great gift. So I gave them my hat. So
I got to hand it to this guy. He knows how to market himself.
there's a French guy out there wearing a Loan daddy hat right now.
All right. Oui. That's great. All right. Well, before we get to the lack of news of the week, since the government is still shut down, let's have some messages from our wonderful sponsors.
Do you have a big move coming up? I'm Scott Nadler with CrossCountry Mortgage, and I've got the loan to match your dream home. Whether it's your first or your fifth, I'll make the process quick and easy. Call me today. Let's make it happen.
Sedgh and Zuckerman is a boutique residential law firm guiding you and your clients every step of the way with a solution-oriented approach. Make sure to work with a deal maker and not a deal breaker. Contact us today at sznylaw.com.
And we're back here at Studio 1873, our home.
That was quick.
Well, yeah. It's funny because
Speed.
So, we didn't have any official data come out, but we have some things to talk about. So let's start with the Fed meeting next week. Again, I think everybody knows what's going to happen. They're going to cut. They're going to cut in December.
Yep.
And probably in January, at the beginning of the year. And then they're going to see what happens. Is that what you're banking on? Because Jerome Powell basically said,
No pun intended.
that the labor market data, even though we don't have any official, is still weak, and I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
So they pretty much saying we have to go ahead.
I think that the bigger topic is what they're going to do with their balance sheet. Yeah. So are they going to stop shrinking that balance sheet and reinvesting more money and more liquidity into the market, which will bring rates down? Or, is that something that's going to be mentioned? I think the bond market and the mortgage market together are going to be watching that very, very closely. And this is something where Scott Bessent came out and he was very critical of Powell, saying that in 2020 and 2021, they were late to this, right? They were adding liquidity into a market where inflation was rising. And now are they kind of late again to buying and reinvesting these treasuries and mortgage-backed securities back into the market? So I think it's at this point probably a foregone conclusion that rates will drop. They'll probably drop by another quarter, and in the final meeting of the year probably to do the same. But I think what they're going to do with their bond purchases is probably more important.
Yeah, the statements become a lot more important when the action is decided, and it's already been priced in. If they don't do it, it'd be interesting if they decide to go 50, which I don't think they can do.
I think too aggressive, no?
No, not necessarily. I mean, the problem is without inflation data and without jobs data, and we'll get CPI at the end of this week.
Right, you are flying a little blind, but if they go instead of the normal, what people are expecting of the quarter point, if you jump into that half, isn't that without the data behind it because of the shutdown feels more panic mode? If they're panicking, what do they know that we don't? Well, no, because as people have stopped spending as much, they've slowed down a bit. Hiring is a little. I'm just saying, as a devil's advocate, that's not
exactly true. The latest data we had, the PCA data, showed pretty strong spending. Now that could have changed, and there is some private data that has come out that showed, based on credit card purchases, that sales have been slower. And that inflation is sort of
they've moderated,
ticking higher.
But you don't usually expect that now anyway. Like they talked about the summer, but people then tend to forget all of that is you're back to school, right? Everybody's out shopping. Like your son went off to college. How much money did you spend getting him ready for his stuff?
It's not the money I spent. It's the money my wife spent.
Okay, well, she had a good time.
You saw the room, the staging area that was all that stuff in there.
So a lot of it, there's always this little quiet period now where you're in between the summer spending for back to school and then before the holiday spending picks up.
Well, holiday spending's on by now.
No, yes and no. It depends sometimes. Like I've seen a lot of you been getting emails like crazy with cyber sales, like so far into the season early than I normally get, like my email, hey, come out and shop, 50% off, free shipping and all of that, which it makes me go shop. I got to do my part. I got to help GDP and retail sales. So I'm the good citizen there.
Well, we need you for gigs and we need you for consumer spending day.
There's also that misperception of the market as far as how tariffs are impacting things, right?
Yes.
So I'm sure you had a lot of people out there anticipating tariffs causing their product, whatever that they shop for, going up. So are people proactively, like during COVID, for example, how many people were flooding to supermarkets to get paper towel, and toilet paper, and all this stuff in advance of knowing that there's not going to be anything left? So I think that could be part of it. Also, I think in terms of the Fed, do they need a lot more data at this point to know that there's weakness in the labor market? So I think that's really where their focus is. So if they do drop rates by 50 basis points, personally, I don't feel that that's overly aggressive. I see your point. But I think they had enough data at this point, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, or I want your opinion.
I agree. There's enough data, devil's advocate, that what the optics would be if they really went aggressive, then what does that show?
Not really aggressive would be calling an emergency meeting or doing like a full percent.
Like during COVID.
That would look like a panic thing.
But Powell's remarks have always been a little...
Boring,
but it's...
nonsensical.
It's always been right on that
ludicrous.
teetering of like, wait, what? Like, so for the lay person, they're hearing what seems a little conflicting and they're looking at like, the visual instead of the numbers behind it, and so anything too high may feel like that. The storm is coming. I better go get bread and milk. Oh
The
my
sentiment
God!
is very, very.
I feel
important.
bad for any lay person that watches Powell speak, but I
because
think
it's
remember
like
job growth went negative. I mean, we know that with revisions. Who knows how negative it is when we actually see the data? The ADP data showed negative for last month. So that's all you need right there, because the dual mandate requires price stability and maximum employment. Clearly, the employment side is the more pressing issue right now.
Right, he's got to pick a lane.
And with all the nonsense about tariffs, stoking widespread inflation, why is all the inflation in services?
Right.
We don't tariff services. We tariff goods.
We should. Clearly,
And
there's
again,
money to be made.
if you want to send your opinion, ctl@bhsusa.com. Yes, the price of certain things has gone up 100%. Not up by 100%, but
100% true that prices have gone up for something.
And the scarcity of the item is what determines how much of the tariff we pay. If Italian wine is tariffed, guess what? You can only get it in Italy, so you're probably going to pay most of that tariff. And you should, because it's delicious.
Okay.
But
well, anything Italian
if
is.
it's some random thing that you can get from a variety of nations, then they can't push it that hard.
Right.
And I think that people are adjusting. In fact, as much as we might be worried about hiring, the forecasts for GDP are not scary. In fact, a survey of economists by the Wall Street Journal, the IMF, are all raising growth.
Yeah.
Not to like super high levels, but even the IMF has had to admit that tariffs have not been anywhere near as disruptive as they thought.
Right.
Maybe because they didn't think about it. It's clearly the first go around.
They didn't listen to you or watch the show.
They got to
They're
watch.
the only
they gotta
people
subscribe.
not watching it, because we got everybody watching it now. At least that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
All right.
No, I mean it's frustrating because the job market went from 150,000 jobs like bankable every week to negative.
Right.
How do we go from 100 some odd thousand to negative?
Right.
That's scary.
Yeah, and there was a recent article. I think they were anticipating growth to be about 15,000 on average a month.
Right. Instead of the 150,000 we got accustomed to.
Right.
And the
But
50,000 we were seeing at the beginning of the year.
Right.
I think after we revised it.
Also, the types of jobs as well is,
Right.
obviously
But
very important, which is what we've
government or
we've
government
talked
supported
about.
jobs. Now it's funny too, because remember that a lot of people came off the government severance plan, the Doge cuts at the end of September. So the October data is going to be interesting if we ever get it to see how that impacts. Now they're coming off the payrolls. Remember, they're on while they're getting severance. So,
right.
But wages have been growing faster than prices, so there's still the money out to spend. It's tough for the consumer because now we find out that a lot of people haven't made a student loan payment in a year or more.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought that all...
No. You would think that, didn't that all start again? No.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
No, that's the thing. There's an article about it last week. So I think
I have a client dealing with that exact issue.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they thought that they didn't have to make their student loan payments, and
That's going to put them in a pickle.
Their
when
credit score dropped significantly.
Right.
So now they're trying to work on getting that up. But yeah, I think that has impacted a lot of people. Absolutely.
It's hard, and people feel differently about the economy. There was a thing Chase put out about this disparity between how high income and low income earners feel about the economy. I would argue, and you probably would, that's kind of always existed.
Yeah.
Because even with job losses, concern still about inflation and other things that are keeping people up at night. Stock market don't care.
Right.
Keep setting records.
Right.
S&P's up 15% this year. It could be the third straight year of a 20% gain.
Wow.
Obviously, high-income people benefit more from the stock market, and low-income people do not.
Right.
But, I guess the low-income people, it's more about the debt because their wages have been rising at a pretty good pace. Now...
Also, oil prices and gas prices have been coming down significantly, touching 3%, probably going to 2.5%.
Right, which is a huge win especially for people who are more price sensitive in every aspect of their budget. That's a big win for them.
$3 a gallon now.
Right.
Which it's so that's
heating your house, driving your car, getting to work.
That is making a big difference for sure.
Powering the Tesla.
Yeah.
There you go.
No, and it's hard too because people have to worry about what they're reading. There's so much, look, we don't know how this is all going to turn out, what the pace of economic growth is going to be into next year, and if companies are going to start hiring again, or there's just going to be this big freeze up. That's scary. But
And AI also.
I was just going to say,
there's
how
another
AI
uncertainty there.
there's another article that came out last week about how maybe people have overshot it with AI, and it's not going to bring, because you keep hearing about we have to build all these server farms for the power and the grids. We have to, and it may not be the boon. Although I don't know, my increasingly not so limited experience with AI has told me there's something here. I mean,
I think there are aspects that could be very beneficial, but I think, are they going to replace people? Not completely.
Don't worry, we're not going to have an AI Lisa Ray.
Okay.
Because unlike you, the AI Lisa Ray would never get tired of arguing with me. It could go on in perpetuity forever.
I never get tired of arguing with you. It's like a sport.
I'm quite aware of that. All right, before we argue more, let's take another break, and we'll be right back talking about Loan Daddy's livelihood and what he loves more than anything else, mortgage rates.
Yay.
Be right back.
What do you really need to know about buying or selling a home? First, it's serious business, and it's complicated. There's a lot of money on the table, and emotion too. You need an agent who knows the ropes. So, whether you're buying or selling your home, work with professionals who have a mastery of the craft.
Hi, I'm Evan Greenberg with Langdon Title. I specialize in title insurance across New York, helping real estate attorneys, agents, and brokers close with confidence. I solve problems fast and keep your deals moving. Contact me anytime.
Okay, and we're back. Now, mortgage rates fell for a second straight week. It's funny, everybody probably keeps saying, hey, leave me alone, Loan Daddy. Don't call me, I'll call you, because rates are going lower. Fed's going to cut rates. Fed cuts rates, mortgage rates go up for a couple weeks. Now they're down. Do you
Welcome to my world.
Now, do you give them their comeuppance? Like, do you just tell them, like, see, I told you not to expect that. No, you wouldn't do that because you still want to lend the money.
Correct. No, I think at this point, a lot of our clients, we talk to them at nauseam about what's happening in the market and what the Fed's doing, how it's going to impact mortgage rates, et cetera. I think a bigger topic right now is ARMs are coming back. Refinances are definitely coming back. So that spread between a 30-year fix and an ARM is widening. Whereas, prior to the Fed starting to cut rates, there wasn't as big of a difference. So we're seeing more people look at ARMs, and not just ARMs. There are 15-year fix and 20-year fix options, which are more attractive than they've been in the last year. So there's more diversity in terms of the products that are available for clients, which is a good thing, because up until the last couple months, it was like a 30-year fix or nothing else.
Right.
That was it. And clients would say, I always thought that there was a bigger spread or bigger difference, and there wasn't. Now that's changed. So we're having more and more conversations about different types of programs that are out there, which is great, especially if you're looking at a first-time home buyer who, people holding onto their same loan for 30 years is not going to happen. We have statistics over a 120-year period. People will pay off, sell, or refinance every 6.5 years, and that's in any market.
Well, I'm about 5 years in, so I guess I'm on pace.
There you go.
Another year and a half or so.
So we do, and especially first-time home buyers, where when you're looking at that difference between an ARM and a fix, and it could be a 0.5% difference or even greater, that keeps your payments really low, and you're probably only going to have that loan for 5 to 7 years anyway. So looking at ARMs is becoming more attractive. So that's been very, very interesting to see, and it's happening pretty quickly.
Now, it's funny because, so much was made for the financial crisis of all the adjustable rate mortgages that were going to reset and people were going to lose their homes. And people lost homes, so that's not why it happened.
Right.
because when those things came to be reset, they were able to lock them in at much lower rates.
There were programs back then, though, that were not borrower friendly in any way. There were ones that had a balloon payment feature in there where, you know, you would tell someone your payment's going to be $1,000 a month for 2 years, and that's all you tell them. And then someone's like, oh, that's great. $1,000 a month, I can afford that. And then all of a sudden year 3 pops up and your payment's $2,000 a month without them even knowing. So those quick jumps impacted a lot of people. But what's happening right now, the 10-year treasury is flirting with dropping below 4%. Right. I think even right now, I was just in your office before seeing, I think it did drop below 4%.
Did it?
Which is I think it should be at like 3.98, 3.99. What is it now? What do you say?
Oh, that's not the right one. 3.997.
3.997, right?
We should have balloons fall from the ceiling.
We should.
Confetti.
So that spread between a 10-year...
Call Loan Daddy right now. Hold on, we'll pause the show. Get us on the phone here.
That spread between the 10-year treasury and the 30-year fixed over the past couple of years has been flirting with 300 basis points, right? So if the 10-year treasury is at 4%, plus 300 is 7%. That's where you've seen the 30-year fix. Now it's closer to about 2.25 and going down closer to 200 basis points. So that spread is narrowing a bit as well, which is helping rates. Well, which I know goes against what the head economist of the MBA was
We'll
saying.
get to that in a minute.
Okay.
Yeah.
But remember too, one of the reasons the spread widened too is that we had that regional bank issue. You know, all these banks that so many people used, First Republic and such. So that spread widened just because of that risk. And now there's more talk about regional bank concerns.
Yeah.
But yes, since we teased it, so the Mortgage Bankers Association had their annual meeting in Vegas.
Ooh.
Where else?
It is a place to, for
How come we don't
bankers who
have
deal
Vegas?
with risk to,
Lena, can we make that happen? Can we do a shoot from Vegas?
Works for me.
Rent out the Sphere.
By the way, what happens in Vegas should stay in Vegas based on these comments over
his
here.
remarks,
This is a good example. So their chief economist said he expects mortgage rates to remain roughly in the range of 6 to 6.5% through the end of 28.
Keep that in Vegas. Yeah. Don't bring that over here.
Now, why does he
years.
think that? Well, this is what he said. Quote, what's 3 years, actually? Through the end of 20, it would be 3 years.
Oh, all right.
See, that's why I'm the chief economist.
Right.
The vice chief economist.
The vice. So he said, quote, as we move over the next couple of years, we think it's more likely that long-term rates are going to go up rather than down, given the fiscal pressures on the economy. So it basically talking about rising federal deficits. Now, we have this tariff revenue that could help take care of that. If it's allowed to stand. Remember, we still got that
still
all floating in the air.
wind.
So I think it's surprising that you could say that because, look, the rate on mortgage rates are determined by people that buy 10-year treasuries. I mean, that's the easiest way to say it. And just like any other lender, you're going to look at the credit worthiness of who you're lending the money to. And in this case, there's been a lot of good things said about our fiscal position improving because of the tariff revenue. Let's see what happens going forward. But even with that still being a concern, we always worry about deficit. Yeah. When you're losing jobs every month instead of adding them, you've got to bring down your inflation forecast, right? I mean, come on, Loan Daddy.
We are not great at predicting the future, let alone what's going to happen in 3 years. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen in 6 months from now.
So don't ask for the lotto numbers.
Not from me.
If we had them,
maybe
we'd keep
from
them
Greg.
to ourselves.
You wouldn't share?
Well, one week you can be like, where's Greg? He's not here. And then I'll just text you guys a picture of me in the Dominican Republic doing something fun.
There you go.
Like buying it.
I don't know. I mean, I see comments like that, and I don't know if it's politically motivated or what, but it goes against the data that we're seeing right now.
Right.
To suspect that in 3 years' time, we're going to see, inflation continue to go up, and rates be a lot higher. I don't know. I mean,
it's really too about the money supply. Inflation is all about the money supply, which is not growing. We raised it 40% during COVID. Then it contracted. Now it's at a more sustainable pace.
Right.
again, with most of the inflation, if not all of it, most months tied up in services like housing, it's just a matter of time.
We're also going to have a new Fed chairman in March, I believe.
April, I believe.
I thought it was May.
Jeez, we gotta get our facts.
I know.
straight.
We got 3 people. I thought it was May. I thought it was his tenure comes up at some point in May.
Either way.
Either way, it's in the spring season.
The next Fed chairman, whoever it's going to be, has already committed to pushing rates down.
Right.
And that Fed chairman is going to be in play, or is going to be in place through 2028. So I don't know. I'm not sure where these forecasts are coming from.
And it's pretty broad to go that many years out.
Yes.
And try to discuss what you don't even know what the next Fed chairman's policies, while we hope are going to be obviously in line with administrative desires to bring down inflation.
His term's up the end of January.
We were all off.
And we were all wrong.
Thank you, Wikipedia.
So he's making remarks, and you've got too many things that are going to be in the wind. You know, no matter who the person is who's ultimately, and I know one of the articles was discussing the handful of like top choices.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, even then, whoever it is, you have your purview of jobs and inflation. But what if something catastrophic happens in that time frame that causes them to have to do
There are a
something
lot
else?
of variables that contribute to all
too
this.
many to
and that-
model.
Well, that's why they
3
say the
years
same
out.
2 words every
Data
time you
dependent.
meet. Data dependent.
Yeah.
Right,
And
which is shocking.
how accurate are the dot plots that we see from the Fed members, where they're looking 2 years out to where the Fed funds rate is going to be. I'd be curious to see kind of where they said it was going to be in 2015, 2016, and going forward.
How funny, how accurate.
right they were. They don't tell us that.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. It's as you talk about, it's basically a survey, and you watch Family Feud, you know how crazy surveys get.
No, but it also makes sense
There's always that
why
one answer like you can't believe is on there.
their statements are always like hedging their bets.
Yeah.
Because nobody wants to stand like right on that hill and go, I'm confident, X, Y, Z. I could be wrong, but this is my stake in the ground. They're always like, it could be, so that they don't feel that they're embarrassed that they're wrong.
Not they, it's him.
Okay, well,
There are plenty of those Fed governors who'd be more than happy
nice.
because they talk about this. They go out and talk.
Right.
It's basically to set expectations. But, it's the Mad Libs. Economic growth has, fill in the word, moderated, accelerated, whatever it is.
Well, we saw last time where they crossed out
that's
prior statement
that's what
and
they
just
do.
filled a few new words in.
How much do you think legacy plays a role in what Powell's doing now? Like he's going to write a book when his term is up, right? He'll talk about his experience. He'll probably make a lot of money off of that book. But, legacy is a big thing. I mean, he's had a long career as an attorney. Now he's the Fed chairman, a very prestigious job.
Right.
And his term has come to an end. It was a wild time of him being the Fed chairman. Legacy is really important, So I'm curious to see what.
Well, it's funny because now that you get more communication from the Fed, more people know who the chairman or the chairwoman of the Fed is. When I was a kid, who knew?
Right.
They didn't say anything.
Right.
But I think it's almost how you leave. Like when his term ends, things are, inflation has come down and rates are down, and there's a handoff and there's continuity there and direction, then that's great. But, you want to be remembered like Paul Volcker, somebody who came in at a terrible time, caused a recession to get rid of inflation, managed to do that. That's why people soft landing like it happens every day. It never happens.
Right.
And sometimes you need that hard landing because the only way you're going to get inflation where it needs to be. Mm-hmm. And then you can look at even Bernanke and Greenspan and say, okay, but you guys missed this.
Right.
Like, you didn't see a financial crisis coming. Irrational exuberance. You can nitpick a lot of this stuff. Janet Yellen, is another one talking when she was, she had been Fed chair and then was Treasury Secretary talking about transitory. They're never going to live that down. People may look on them better, but none of that's important. It's about learn from it. Learn that you can't spike the money supply without getting runaway inflation. You should have known that already.
Agreed. The one thing I'll say, and I don't want to defend all these Fed chair people.
Chair people.
But
They're chair people. They're coming.
Is that like it's Halloween season. That's a new horror movie.
Yeah, we should dress up as our favorite Fed chairman. They are working off of incorrect data.
Yes.
Well,
You know,
we've talked about that in the past also.
it's
When you
just-
have bad labor market data and then the constant revisions, and how are they supposed to set now and be proactive to the future when you're basing it off of a bad play
It's
to
all
begin with?
lagging data, and it seems to have gotten worse. It has not gotten better, but it's a hard position to be in. The one thing I will say about that, though, is there are plenty of economists, one of them being right here, who
Yeah, the guy behind you.
who can look at the data and look at what some of these hedge funds are doing and predicting, and they don't seem to take all of it together. They're just looking at the government data that is being published, and that's not enough. And now
Yeah.
you're starting to see the administration and the Fed looking at different parts of how to improve
A broader spectrum
data.
of what you're looking
so we
at.
have more accurate
Well, they do have
information
other
to make
tools that people don't maybe follow anymore. They have this thing called the beige book, right? It's called the beige book because it used to have a beige
Yeah,
cover.
the beige
Where they
cover.
basically call companies and it's like, how you doing?
Right.
You're raising prices. It's all very anecdotal.
Yep.
But, that's kind of like the boots on the ground kind of information that you get.
Mm-hmm.
Because, if there's a shift, you're not going to see it in the data till 6 months after it happens. And that's why they're always looking at a lot of different metrics, and every chairperson is going to have their own thing that they laser in on. Now, the jobs numbers are bad because, again, since they're supposed to maximize employment, if they don't know what employment is, they don't know what, necessarily what they need to do, what they can do to fix it.
But is it necessarily a bad thing that it's a little bit slow and sluggish right now? Because
If you want to get rid of inflation,
that was my point. Is that if you want
problem
to try to
is-
fight that,
employment has nothing to do with inflation. It's about money. And when you're still seeing raises higher than prices are rising, that could have the outcome of dragging inflation a little bit higher.
Right.
Greg has more money to spend. You're going to raise the price. I'm still going to pay it. Some point there's going to be blowback, but we're not there. Even with losing jobs now, we're not
We're
seeing
still
any
spending.
massive
People
cut.
are still
But there's no
spending.
massive cut in wages either.
right?
It's a no hire, no fire environment. But as at least for now, consumer spending the last 2 months data we had went up 0.4 points each month. That's unbelievable.
I'm doing my best. I promise. I'm out there doing my
Again,
best.
save your money for my gigs. That's what's really important.
What's in your Amazon cart right now?
Absolutely nothing because I
Nothing.
don't really shop at
You don't go on Amazon. You go to the actual store.
Yeah. I'm more of like wherever.
She worked
it
too
is.
long in
Honestly,
retail. She feels
it's probably a
obliged
good
to go
thing.
to the store.
It's probably a good thing.
Well, yes, too long in retail. My mother would agree with.
Right now, a lot of
with
people are going,
that.
what's a store? It's a building you used to have to go to get stuff.
But I'm also tactile. Like I like to go into the stores and look at stuff, try things on sometimes, like sizing and I get my steps in. See, I look at it that way.
There you go.
I'm getting
It's a
exercise.
workout for
when
you.
I go to the mall, it is a work. It's certainly a workout for my visa. But
But
do I like-
carpal tunnel from swiping too
yes,
much.
but maybe some of that, like you say. I grew up, I worked in retail.
Mm-hmm.
So there's something about being in the store and like talking to a person.
What's
and
your
having a
weakness?
conversation.
Is it shoes? Is it clothing? Is it
If I had a real weakness, I love jackets and watches. I have way too many of both.
Yeah, I mean, you only got 2 wrists. Come on.
But they match. Like
there are
today.
365 days a year?
Well,
right?
like today when I went with the gold tone,
Do you have a Monday watch, a Tuesday watch?
I have right now I'm good. I'm down to about 10.
See, you're as bad as me with guitars.
Right. So there you go.
You have 10 also?
No, I have like 13
He's got
guitars,
like a
but
lot more.
That's not important.
But the same thing. I'm like
I only have one watch, though.
I love my jackets because it's sweater weather right now, so you need certain for fall and then certain ones that look for work, casual. Yeah, those are my
See, and when I
weaknesses.
say I need multiple guitars, people are like, why?
Yeah.
Why would you need multiple watches? It's the same time on each one.
Well, no, the one I wore the other night, I'm like, I looked at it and went, crap, the battery was dead. I'm like, so it was 4 o'clock all day.
See, that's a problem. You got to maintain 10 watches.
I do. And
Like with all my guitars,
good.
you got to restring them. You know, you've got to set them up as the weather changes.
But this one was the gray watch.
And
that
most
went
people
with the,
who wear
know.
watches that isn't an Apple Watch, they check the time on their phone anyway, even if they're wearing a watch. So as long as you have a phone on you,
That's how I. But I'm such
Style.
I'm like a watch
Style
person,
points.
so I've always had, long before I ever had like phones to check the time. But maybe too, some of that's retail, so you're keeping track on the time in the store. Because we don't have, they purposely don't put clocks around the store.
Like casinos.
Yep.
Right, because they don't want the customers to know how late it is. But, if you're closing and you're on the closing schedule, I need to know what time it is so I can
Right.
start getting my customers, rounded up like a nice little herd right to one of my registers to buy the things because we need them to spend the money.
Well, that is important. It's because
Yes.
it's 70%.
And they
of
are.
GDP.
Yes,
For
according
now,
People
I
are
mean,
spending.
we shouldn't be
Yes.
surprised. This has been going on long enough to see. And hopefully they get, we get some relief and we get to see that 10-year continuing to go down, which would unleash, the housing market because there is that pent-up demand that is there. Home builders are feeling more confident. And we've seen what happened when rates just fell to an 11-month low. There was this big burst of activity. So
Absolutely.
it's there.
Yeah, the demand is still there.
So
Refinances are picking up in a big way. People are doing cash out refinances to invest more money, to buy more real estate. So we're seeing a lot of opportunities there as well.
Good.
So what do you think for the rest of the year? We got 2.5 months left. Mm-hmm. Well, what do you
So
think?
a standard 30-year fix right now is at about 6.25%. I would say from now till the end of the year, we'll comfortably be in that 6% range, maybe 5.99, somewhere in that area. I
See,
think
if we get
that's-
below 6, then we can reach out to the NBA for comment.
Exactly. Yeah.
Look, this is why I don't go to
but
Vegas
he'll-
and make predictions.
He'll say that it's, that's a 1 week and it could be a one-off. You have to see the
he's
trend.
probably right. Look, we were kissing 6% a little over a year ago, and then we were kissing 7%.
Yep.
No, when people who still wanted to buy still were. It wasn't like there was no activity at all. It wasn't like when it went to 7%, nobody bought a house.
Right.
People who are not as, rate dependent per se, or can still make the payments if they're getting the right price.
This
then
is
it-
why
then
I
it,
tell
you know-
agents all the time, when you have a client tell you that they're not ready to buy, I always say, you should ask, what do they need their payment to be for it to make sense? Because that's great information. When
Then
someone
it's
says
affordability.
Exactly. All
What's
right.
the price
So-
point you should shop for?
Exactly.
Because they may also still be a little aspirational, or some people, well, I would
Or-
really like, XYZ.
You can ask for a seller credit to buy down the rate. There are a lot of options there. But
Right,
when
and they're
someone
leaving
flat
that stuff
out-
on the table when they're not asking the questions.
Exactly.
The biggest mistake I think home buyers make is thinking they dictate price and rate, like that they can do that. I'm going to wait for this. Like,
Right.
I'm sorry, do you have some kind of powers we're not aware of?
Right.
Because we could use someone like that around here. That'd be helpful.
That's where, we have advantages. When I bought my co-op, when I bought my house, I knew what my paycheck is. I know what I bring home. I know what's affordable. I knew what range to shop in. So I had that leg up. So for me, it was...
Well, there's a million tools
know.
online to do this. And again, we
You can also call me.
just
Low end, daddy.
low end of one. Well, it'll be a 900 number, not an 800 number. It'll cost you money to call Loan Daddy because nothing's free in this world.
No, but when you have, like I say, like from that's a personal thing. I had a comfort in my knowledge that prices and you're out shopping, you look at something, it doesn't scare you because I could go home and I could crunch some of the
But
numbers.
the problem is, and we've done this since we started this show, the level of financial education is so bad in this country.
And we've talked about that
that
personally.
95, I think it's 99.5% of Americans are financially illiterate. Now, I'm not saying that to be mean.
No,
I'm
it's
saying that
that's-
because schools are failing and parents are failing to teach their kids the basics of money management and saving. I mean, do you have to be able to explain options and futures to your kids? No. But
some
explain why you need to
basic.
save,
It
how
needs to be
time
in
is
our
your
education.
friend,
Yeah.
and how you can't just put everything on credit.
By the way, speaking of low end, daddy, I went to a fundraiser.
Is this going to be a thing like every week now?
It might be.
When Shar comes back, he's going to be like, who's low-end daddy?
No, this is
Then
it.
we'll know he hasn't
One
been
and
watching
done.
the
It's
show.
a French woman walking around with a hat
One and
somewhere
done.
in the Dominican Republic.
I go to this
With a
fundraiser.
cigarette on one of those, like,
I went to this fundraiser years ago. And it was like a networking event. So they gave everyone a name tag, and it was your name and your profession.
Oh.
Mine was loan officer, but they spelled it LONE. Like I'm all alone. Like I've never felt so alone in my life. I was like, some intern really messed this up and doesn't know what a loan officer is. Yeah, it was great. I saved it. I was like, this is perfect.
I would save that.
Yeah, this
See,
is
if they
great.
put economist on my tag, even if they write it perfectly, no one knows what an economist is. So
It's true.
at least with the loan officer, you know, it's funny.
Yeah, it was
Do you have a
great.
picture of that? We should just put it
I should. Yep.
See? Now we have to make fun of that.
Yep. New hats coming.
You've been talking about new hats forever. Like,
No, now it's gonna be the
right, Lena. Where are these hats?
LONE. Yeah. Exactly.
Alone, Daddy.
All alone.
Sometimes it's not bad to be all alone. It's quiet that way.
Well, speaking of all alone, well, it's time to end the show now. Did everybody have fun today?
I had a
Absolutely.
blast.
Yes.
My first episode with
Yes.
Lisa. We've been talking about it for a while.
Yes.
It's good.
Who knows? We may not let Shar in next time.
No, we need Shar back.
You need him back.
I know.
Yeah.
Who's going to keep us out of jail if he's not here? We're in all kinds of
You
trouble.
always need a lawyer.
Yes.
I ran into Shar on the street
Oh, that's so
last week.
funny.
We're just walking. I see him. He taps me on the shoulder, and he's on the phone, and he just pulls out a Kit Kat from his jacket, and just like as we're walking together, he's like, I always have Kit Kats on me. I'm like, oh, man, this is a great person.
But
to
on a
just
hot
bump
day,
into.
doesn't that stuff all melt in his pocket?
It was weather appropriate. So it was very timely.
See, now we got a nickname for him. We call him Kit Kat Lawyer. It's perfect.
Yeah.
See, Lena laughed. It's got to be good.
And I love
Lena,
the
how the wedding
cats.
plan's coming? We haven't had an update lately.
Good.
Good? All right.
I'm
That's
married in Puglia, Italy, southern Italy.
Very
Okay.
nice.
well, Lone Daddy's going to charter a plane. We're just going to crash the wedding. Don't worry about inviting us. We're going to be there.
When you show up.
Yeah. We weren't going to tell you, but now
Yes.
now you know.
Well, enjoy that.
Yes.
It's funny. The lead up seems to take forever, and then the whole thing is over in a blink. And then you got the rest of your life with the guy. Isn't that fun?
Yeah. That's the best part.
Well, I know my wife tells me that every day. It's
right.
like, you're so lucky. I go, okay, dear.
Yes, dear. Yes, honey.
Well, in March, it's only going to be 28 years. So, you know,
28 years. Wow.
I know. It's just makes me old.
So that means in 2028, it's going to be your 30 year when this economist said that rates are going to still be at 6.5.
Yeah, and then maybe we could buy another home. Who knows?
Maybe.
Well, or besides, who knows? We just did all these renovations to the house, and it looks
And
great.
it's beautiful. It really is beautiful. It came out really nice.
when
Yeah, but
those-
you have to say that.
No, I'm.
But this is
he
the
knows
fun
me.
part.
I'd be 100% honest. I'd be like, well, it really came out beautiful.
The fun
sure
part
it
was we finished right before we went to Buffalo to visit Gregory. Had a great time 2 weekends ago with my son. He's loving it up there. He's got a girlfriend. He's enjoying things. He's finding
for him.
himself. He sent me a text he got from one of his professors about how great his midterm paper was.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, can I see
Nice.
text from the other professors, please? But, so we're driving home on Columbus Day when there's a
In a
nor'easter
storm.
going on. And I'm wondering, is my siding still going to be on the house? Thanks to my good friends at DMAR Construction,
Everything was still on the house.
everything was great.
There you go.
I can't complain. Everything's, checked all the windows. Everything's good to go. Now we got to do something about the inside of the house. But anyhow, all right. So thanks to Ray and Lena. Thanks to Lisa Ray and Lone Daddy, Scott Nadler, the man. Basketball season's right around the corner. Knicks start this week, I
They
believe.
do Wednesday against the Cavs.
I heard they're gonna
Not my sport.
play cat at power
Lisa,
forward.
you're gonna get there.
Is that true?
Okay.
I know they like the Twin Towers thing, and I guess you got to play Mitchell Robinson at center.
Yeah, it's just going to be more of a fast-paced
Isn't
offense.
it be harder for Cat to defend power forwards? He's not known as the Bill Russell of this era.
You are correct. We'll see. I'm hoping Mike Brown has a plan. He's our brand new coach.
New coach this season.
Brand new
All right.
coach.
And speaking of great coaches and great teams, St. John's number 5 preseason. It's never been that high.
And you ran into a St. John's legend. So
And
that's
I was going to
a good omen.
a doctor's office, walked into a deli, and Chris Mullen was sitting right there. Wow. I mean, that man is God, St. John's fans.
Legend.
Player of the year.
Not
Hall
the
of
best
Famer.
coach. But as a player, he was
a good recruiter, but the great players don't make great coaches because it comes too easy for them.
It's true.
Like Ted Williams, like, what do you mean you couldn't hit that fastball?
Right.
You stink.
Right.
Isn't it better sometimes though to be a good recruiter?
Well,
To get a good team, even if you're not a good
See,
coach,
the thing
you
now
got a
is-
good team to
No.
work with.
but you're forgetting NIL with name, image, and likeness. Now you buy the players. Patino just flat out has said, and Patino's one of the great recruiters, one of the great coaches. He's won national championships with different teams. But he goes, the best part now is I don't have to recruit. We just buy them.
They're getting paid.
Oh, that's I
Stuff
forgot.
you
Right.
used to go to jail for and get
For
banned
college,
from
I
tournaments.
forgot about that.
They can
Yeah.
get paid. I don't think they should, but that's a discussion for a different.
Cooper Flagg, who was the #1 player last year, I think he made north of $10 million last year
Wow.
as a freshman in college.
Well, Caitlin Clark famously cost herself money by turning pro.
Yes.
So,
Okay.
because it's unlimited what you can make. There's no salary cap on NIL that I'm aware of.
Right. No, there isn't.
Yeah, then yeah, I guess.
All right, well, that's the show, and we'll see you next week. The Three Stooges will be reunited. It's been a while.
Yeah,
It's been a while.
yeah. Since your boys have
Maybe we'll wise up then. Hopefully not. It's more entertaining. Have a great week, everybody.